Chris here, and welcome to my channel. And as you can see by my setup, it's time to play Phase 10 Chooses My TBR. So it is December 29th, which means there's only 3 days left in the year 2022, which means it's time for me to film my very first TBR of 2023. Crazy to think 2022 is over and we're heading into 2023. I have a lot of plans for next year and a lot of books I want to get on my TBR. I believe the only readathon I'm planning on doing in the month of January is Be Sureathon, which is hosted by Sasha, whose channel I believe is the Wild Sasha. Either way, the announcement video for the readathon and her channel will be linked below. And I believe this year we have like a board. I'll pop a picture of it up here. And we kind of have to follow the board. There are no teams this year, and I think I'm going to play it by ear. Instead of having like a set TBR, I'm going to see how many of the prompts I can get to with the books I already plan on reading or can squeeze into my TBR, because one of the things I did in 2022 that made life very, very stressful was doing way too many readathons, especially readathons with very specific TBRs, which meant I had no way to mood read. And this board feels like it's absolutely perfect for me to mood read, so that is what I'm going to do for that. So I'm planning on doing Buzzwordathon again this year, and the prompt for January is, I believe, the words death or life in the title, and I'm going to be reading Death in the Park by London Lovett. This is one of my winter covers, so I'm going into it blind. But it ended up working out really well. One, because I needed to read it in the next few months anyways. And two, because of the fact that I'm pretty sure it's the only book I own that would fulfill the prompt. So that worked out really, really well. I am also hoping to do the TBR Knockout, which is hosted by Mel from Completely Melanie. The first two prompts are to read a book with a mostly white cover and to read a book that has only words on the cover. So I'm going to see if I can incorporate these into my TBR, and if not, then I will mention what I'm going to pick for them at the end of the video. As for like readathons, I'm going to be doing the Wheel of Time read-along, which is hosted by Sandra from, oh crap, what is her channel name? It's like Go for the Things or something like that. Again, I will link her channel in the announcement video below so you can find her. So I will be reading The Eye of the World. I don't know much about this series, but it sounded interesting. I've heard good things about it, even though I believe it does slow down and dip in the middle. And since there's a whole group of us doing it, I thought it would be fun. I believe we had December and January to read this. I'm a little behind because I only found out about it partway through December. And well, my December TBR is packed. So I will be reading this in January. Then Becca is doing a new read for the Catch Up Book Club. Now that she's done with the Realm of the Elderlings, and they're going to be moving on to, I believe, the First Law series, or whatever the overarching name of that, like, world is. And the first book is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. Again, I don't know much about this, but I've heard it's a really good series, and I'm trying to read more adult fantasy in 2023, so again, I figured this was another good time to kind of give this series a shot, since there will be other people reading it, and it will give me kind of motivation to continue picking up the books and kind of a set schedule, because I believe this will be the book for January and February, and then the second book will be in March, because I believe her and Sandra are rotating, so you're not having to try to read 2 giant books every single month. And then off the top of my head, the last read-along pick I'm going to be doing is Meet Your Baker by Ellie Alexander. I believe this is going to be the Cozy Escape Book Club pick for January, which is hosted by Courtney from Courtagonist. Otherwise, I believe she's going to be doing kind of a read-along of this entire series. Like, she's doing a reread, so I figured this was a good time to get in on it. It is a series Courtney just raves about, so it's one I've wanted to pick up for a while, and I'm very excited to be able to have a cozy mystery on my TBR. Now, before we get into Phase 10, I have 2 more things to do, and if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know exactly where I'm going though with this. I'm going to share with you my nonfiction pick for January, because that worked out really, really well for me last year, picking a nonfiction to read every month, and my series to continue jar, because again, it made me read some series. So, first, my nonfiction is going to be Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick. This is her autobiography. I'm taking it a little easy on myself. Autobiographies are really easy reads for me, and I really, really enjoy them, so rather than read something super dense and hard-hitting in January, especially after my crazy December, I thought I would give myself a little bit of an easier nonfiction read. So we're going to go with this. And now, let's see what this jar gives me. It is updated. I actually believe I only had to add 3 series in between the last time I updated my jar now, which means I've only started a few, which is nice. And yeah, hopefully I'll get some good ones. Like I said, I believe last month, I've taken out all of the series I'm like caught up on, and I will add them back in as applicable. So let's open her up and see what I'll be reading this month. And already, even with it not being full, I have one flying out. So we'll go with this red one here for series 1. This green one for series 2. And this blue one for series 3. We'll pick that orange one up off the floor. Okay, so the first series I'm going to be continuing, maybe, is The Jumbies by Tracy Baptiste. Not exactly the kind of book I wanted to read in January, but definitely can do it because I own books 2 and 3. So, like I said, I own the second book, which is Rise of the Jumbies. I believe these are kind of spooky, middle grades, and I enjoyed the first one, so I'm definitely down to read the second one. It's been a while since I've read the first one, so I don't quite remember the synopsis, but I do remember being spooked by it, so hopefully this will give me the same kind of spooky vibes, even though January isn't necessarily a month I would go, yeah, spooky, that's what I want to read. But it does mean that I can continue a series and pull a book off my physical TBR, so thumbs up for that. My second series is Goldie Vance by Hope Larson. Let me see which volume I'm on. So I am on volume 4 of this. The reason I hadn't read volume 4, I had to double check because I assumed I had read it, was because I have to read it as an ebook. My library does not have the physical copy, so that's probably why I didn't read it at the time, because comics as ebooks can be rough. But the TBR jar says I should be continuing this in January, so that is what I will do. And my last series... Ooh, I get to pull again. So it is The Unicorn Quest by Camilla Banco, and I got that right here because it's the last book on my TBR from December that I haven't finished yet, but I will be finishing it. So I get to pull another one, and that one can stay out. Okie dokie. Well, that's a good reason to have to pull another one. And let's see. Let's go with this one here. Ooh, it's orange. And I will be reading... I can do this. Never After by Melissa De La Cruz. So the second book in that series is The Stolen Slippers. And we're following Philomena, who I believe in the first book finds out that her favorite book series is actually real and like another world, and ends up having to help out people from that world because they end up in our world, if memory serves. They're based on fairy tales, and I really enjoyed the first one, so much so that I pre-ordered the paperback of the second one. So, definitely down to continue this in 2023. So, Stolen Slippers, Rise of the Jumbies, and Goldie Vance Volume 4 will be my 3 series to continue in January of 2023. Okay, so now I can focus on Phase 10. Like I said a minute ago, the last book on my Phase 10 TBR for December is Fire in the Star. I'm on page 128. I have 3 days left in the month. There is absolutely no reason I shouldn't finish this, so I will not be taking any punishments. Speaking of punishments, though, I have a new idea for a way I'm going to change up my game in 2023. So, I've decided that I don't really get anything if I finish my TBR. And so I decided to introduce rewards. So I have a handful of these here. So I have watch 5 booktube videos, read a book under 200 pages, watch 4 hours of Blood on the Clock Tower, combine 2 prompts, read an obligation book, and these are all going to be rewards. So what I'm going to do is I've got 2 spinner wheels on my computer. I'm going to bring it out in a minute. And one is for the colors, one is for the numbers, and basically whatever that picks, I'm going to replace that prompt with a random one of these. And then if I happen to pull that card or choose to pull that card, I get a reward instead of having to necessarily read a book. So it should make my life easier. However, if I don't manage to complete my TBR, I have punishment prompts. And if I don't manage to complete, say, 3 books on my TBR, I have to put up 3 prompts. So the ones I have as of now are, cannot use a DNF. And by this, what I mean is normally if I was, say, hating this book and I DNF'd it, then I could just count that as completing the prompt. What I would have to do is I could still DNF this book. And for instance, this is highest rated. So then what I would have to do is read my next highest rated to complete the prompt. So basically it means I can't use a DNF to complete the prompt. I have to actually physically read a book, but I am allowed to switch books. I don't have to force myself to read something I don't want to read. It just means that I actually have to finish a book for said prompt. Scrap my TBR. That means at whatever point I pull this, I have to scrap my entire TBR and start over. And I can't put any of the books that were on my TBR back on it, which means I could get to prompt number 10, pull this, and have to start over from the beginning and not be able to use any of those books again. I have to read a book that's over 700 pages, pretty self-explanatory there. Read 2 books for the next prompt, which means the next prompt that I draw, I have to read double the books. Not allowed to use mandatory or readathon reads, and that is for my entire TBR. So that would include any book club picks, any read-alongs, any readathon prompts, nor am I allowed to use my nonfiction, my series to continue, or like my 5-star predictions or winter covers, or my series to continue. I have to go completely off TBR for that. And those are what I have for my punishment prompts. And obviously, if I draw a punishment prompt, I still have to I will pull a prompt out of this pile to get my actual prompt for that book. Because the idea is that with a punishment, I still need to be reading at least 10 books. The rewards, the idea is that I'm going to pull that and do that instead of reading another book. So I hope that makes sense. Also, if you have any ideas for rewards or punishments, let me know in the comment section below, because I'm obviously going to need more of these. But we're going to mix these up, my reward prompts, so that I don't know which one I'm putting on here. And of course, it might not even matter for months. Okay. So, here we have my spinner with the colors. Let's see what color we're going to be going with. So we will be doing a red prompt, well, replacing a red prompt, and we will be replacing the red. Whoops. The red 6. Not bad. That could have gone a lot worse if it was a 7, because there's only 2 red 7s in the deck and they're both up there. So we're going to replace this red 6 right here with whatever this prompt is. And I won't know unless I pull a red 6. With that out of the way, it means I can get into my game. I'm going to randomly put that back into my draw pile, which was the red 6. And obviously I have my prompts here, my cards here, my die should I need it. And well, at this point, I have no idea how I haven't drawn more wild, so I'm expecting to need it every single month. But yeah, let's dive into the game. Draw number 1 is a 1. And I need a 1 because I'm going for 2 sets of 4. And I think we'll go with the green 12. I'm feeling a green 12. Whoops. And the prompt for green 12, ooh, hardcover. Well, it doesn't get much easier than that, and I'm going to go with something really easy and go Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick. It is a hardcover book. It's a nonfiction. I got to read it anyways. Might as well stick it on my TBR. Draw number 2 is a green 5. And the prompt for green 5 is under 300 pages. Well, that's easy. I'm going to read Goldie Vance, Volume 4. I'm sure this is under 300 pages. It's a really, really simple read. It's a graphic novel. It'll be fast, and it's 2 of the reads I had to read anyways, and they're already on my TBR, so thumbs up for that. Draw number 3 is a yellow 5. And the prompt for yellow 5 is space on the cover. So, for this, I'm going to do The Eye of the World, which is the first book in the Wheel of Time, because we have a moon on the cover, and that represents space, so perfect. This is turning out really, really well so far. Draw number 4 is a yellow 2. The prompt for yellow 2 is light cover. So for this, I'm going to go with Echo Mountain by Lauren Wolfe. And I also think this is going to count as my mostly white cover for TBR Knockout because, well, it's mostly white. It's got some things on it, but it is mostly white. So this is a historical fiction set during the Great Depression, and we're following Ellie, whose family is forced to leave their hometown and start over in nearby Echo Mountain. Unfortunately, a terrible accident leaves her father in a coma, and it is unfairly blamed on Ellie. She ends up taking matters into her own hands and, determined to help her father, will make her way to the top of the mountain in search of the healing secrets of a woman known only as the Hag. But the Hag and the mountain still have many untold stories left to reveal. So, I am very down to read a historical fiction. I sometimes forget how much I love them until I do like Historathon and am forced to read them, so I am definitely excited to be able to stick this on my TBR. Draw number 5 is a yellow 3. And the prompt for yellow 3 is Cozy Mystery. Well, to the shock and surprise of absolutely nobody, I think I'll go with Meet Your Baker by Ellie Alexander, since I'm going to be reading this for the Cozy Hollow Book Club and kind of starting the series off and doing the read-along with Courtney from Courtagonist. So, yeah. It's set at a small-town family bake shop, and obviously our protagonist is going to be finding a body, and I'm very excited to start a new Cozy Mystery series. It's being really nice to me. It's kind of scary. Draw number 6 is green 7, which means I've technically completed my phase, and we're going to go with this green 3 here. And the prompt for green 3 is Becca's Bookopoly. I will insert a clip of me playing that after we get done with my TBR game, because I have to find, like, the board and figure out where I was at, so hopefully whatever book I got is a book that I'm really excited to read, so yay, boo. So it is time to do my Bookopoly roll. I've got the board set up from this year. I'm on Community Shelf, which is where I left off when I did my TBR for Bookopoly-thon. I will be playing by Becca's rules, so if I do roll a double, I will have to roll again. I've got a random dice roller up here, and we're going to roll and see how many spaces I have to move. Doubles. Great. 10. Okie dokie. Let's go back over to the board and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, well, that's nice at least. If you can see, we'll move it so I can blow it up here. So you can definitely see it is a small book under 300 pages. So for this, I'm going to read The Rise of the Jumbies. It's 265 pages, so it's under my 300 page mark. Since I need to read this for series to continue, I might as well stick it on my TBR. So far, Becca's Bookopoly is being nice to me. Let's roll again. Double 2s. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chance. Okay. So we're going to do a spinner wheel, and chance is basically books you want to read and books you don't want to read. So I've got my spinner wheel ready to go. For books I want to read, I have The Dark Secret, The Faceless Ones, The Fast and the Furriest, and The Stolen Slippers. For books I don't want to read right now, I have Beneath the Scarlet Sky, The Smoke Thieves, The Bonanza King, and The Flame in the Mist. So let's see what I'm going to be reading for my chance prompt. The Flame in the Mist. So this is The Flame in the Mist. It is I think maybe YA fantasy. It says, the only daughter of a prominent samurai, Mariko has always known she'd be raised for one purpose and one purpose only, to marry. Never mind her cunning, which rivals that of her twin brother Kenshin, or her skills as an accomplished alchemist. Since Mariko was not born a boy, her fate was sealed the moment she drew her first breath. So at 17 years old, Mariko is sent to the Imperial Palace to meet her betrothed, a man she did not choose for the very first time. But the journey is cut short when Mariko's convoy is viciously attacked by the Black Clan, a dangerous group of bandits who've been hired to kill Mariko before she reaches the palace. The lone survivor, Mariko, narrowly escapes to the woods where she plots her revenge. Dressed as a peasant boy, she sets out to infiltrate the Black Clan and hunt down those responsible for the target on her back. Once she's within their ranks, though, Mariko finds for the first time she's appreciated for her intellect and abilities. She even finds herself falling in love, a love that will force her to question everything she's ever known about her family, her purpose, and her deepest desires. Set against the backdrop of feudal Japan, Flame in the Mist is a passionate, action-packed adventure from #1 New York Times bestselling author Renee Ahdieh. So this is one I have come very, very close to unhauling, so I suppose it's not a bad idea that I get to read it now. So at least one way or the other, this will no longer be on my TBR. Okie dokie, so we're going to roll again, and hopefully won't get doubles this time. You have got to be kidding me. Becca, your game is being mean to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that is, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but it says summer. So summer vibes. So what I'm going to choose for this is The Lost Whale. Mainly because I think of whales, I think of oceans, and when I think of oceans, I think of summer. It says, Rio's lost without his mom. It's always been the two of them, through thick and thin. Now she's sick, and Rio's been sent thousands of miles away to live with his grandmother on the coast of California. Alone and adrift, he makes a new friend on the beach, a girl named Marina, who teaches him about the massive gray whales that migrate nearby and lets him come aboard her family's whale-watching boat. As Rio grows to love the whales, he discovers that his mother loved them too. He's suddenly sure that if he can find a way to connect her with a particular whale named Whitebeak, she will get better. But Whitebeak is missing, and Rio must embark on a desperate journey across the ocean to find her. So yes, definitely with beachy summer vibes. I think this is probably as close as I'm going to get at the moment, off the top of my head. So we're going to go with this. So let's see if I can get, not doubles this time. Finally, no more doubles. Last roll, last book I have to pick for Becca's Bookopoly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Which gets me color wheel. So we have a random color generator here instead of a wheel, and we're going to click generate. And I need to find a book with a reddy orange color on the cover. So here's a reminder of the color. I think that color is definitely represented on this book. It's called Sir Callie and the Champions of Helston. In a world where girls learn magic and boys train as knights, 12-year-old non-binary Callie doesn't fit in anywhere. And you know what? That's just fine. Callie has always known exactly what they want to be, and they're not about to let a silly thing like gender rules stand in their way. When their ex-hero dad is summoned back to the royal capital of Helston to train a hopeless crown prince as war looms, Callie lunges at the opportunity to finally prove themselves worthy to Helston's great and powerful. Except the intolerant great and powerful look at Callie and see only girl. Trapped in Helston's rigid hierarchy, Callie discovers they aren't alone. There's Elowyn, the Chancellor's brilliant daughter, whose unparalleled power is being stifled. Edwin, Elowyn's twin brother, locked in a desperate fight to win his father's approval. And Willow, the crown prince who is never meant to be king. In this start to an epic series packed with action, humor, and heart, Callie and their new friends quickly find themselves embedded in an ancient war, and their only hope to defeat the dragons outside the kingdom lies in first defeating the bigotry within. I'm really, really excited to read this book, so yeah, it could have gone a lot worse. So these are the 4 books I will be reading for my Bookopoly prompt for Phase 10. Instead of 1, I have to read 4. And now back to Past Chris finishing their Phase 10 polls, not knowing what Bookopoly had in store for them. Draw number 7 is a 1. I think I'll take the 2. This is very, very weird. So yellow 2, this didn't get to stay up there very long, is odd page number. So I'm going to go with The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie because it is 527 pages and I have to read it anyways. So yeah, this is another mandatory read that I've now gotten on my TBR. This is very, very strange. It honestly makes me wonder if I roll a bunch of doubles in Becca's Bookopoly because I have to follow her rules. So maybe, we'll see. You'll know at this point. Hopefully not. Anyways, draw number 8. There it is. There it is. It was going too smoothly. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it. I'm feeling a little bit better because, like, it was just being too nice. Draw number 8, part 2. Okay, and now we're back to nice because there is my 7, which means I'm completely skipping prompt number 8, and I've now earned a skip in a swap. And yeah, I'm going to need to redo the board, so I'll be back with you in just a second. So, since my next phase is 7 cards of the same color, I thought we'd leave it up to complete chance instead of basing it on the cards, and we'll spin this wheel. Since I have it set up, I thought we would use it. And the color I will be going for is red again, which means I will not be getting my reward because I won't be able to use a red 6 as a prompt if I'm using it for that. So, let's see, we have green, blue, wild, which is a red, a yellow, ooh, another red, a blue, a green, and a green. So, I'm going to stick these up on the board and I'll be right back with you. So, we've got that set up. I'm going for reds. Let's see what the pile has in store for me. Draw number 9 is a red. I think we're going to stick with green and yellow prompts since they've been so nice to me, and we'll go with a green 6. And the prompt for green 6 is mythology. So for this, I'm going to read Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. I am doing a reread of the entire Percy Jackson universe, including the handful of books I haven't read, like the Demigod Files, stuff like that. And I have it split up between months so that when I want to say the next book in the Percy Jackson series, because Rick Riordan announced that we would be getting a new book featuring the core 3 from the first arc. And I believe that comes out in September. So I would be reading it in October, and then I will also be reading The Sun and the Star, which is the first book in the next arc. So I kind of wanted to just completely reread the whole series and then read the 2 newest books at the end. So this follows Percy Jackson, and he finds out that his father is a god and ends up at Camp Half-Blood, which is where a lot of demigods end up, and goes on a lot of adventures throughout the series. It is obviously Greek mythology based and is the perfect book for this prompt. So with the way I've broken it down, I am doing the Lightning Thief and the Sea of Monsters in January. So if you want to join me and buddy read them with me, let me know. We can set something up on my Discord. And my final regular draw number 10, is a yellow 8. And the prompt for yellow 8 is Booktuber Fave. So I know exactly what I'm going to read for this, and that is Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. I don't know off the top of my head which booktuber would count this as their fave, but I absolutely know that there are booktubers out there that would. I know that Becca and the Catch Up Book Club recently finished doing their read-along of The Realm of the Elderling, and that a lot of them really, 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 really loved The Realm of the Elderling. So I'm going to assume that this would count as it's part of the greater Realm of the Elderling series. I really, really love book 1, and I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, so I'm excited to be able to stick book 2 on my TBR. So, with my regular draws out of the way, it is time to use my die and figure out how many extra books I'm going to be reading. Please be low, and I got a 3. Could be worse. Could be worse. I mean, granted, I still don't know if I had doubles for Becca's Bookopoly, but that definitely could have been worse. So, Wild 1, Draw 1 is a blue 8. Is blue going to be as nice to me as green and yellow have been? Water on the cover or in the title. So for this one, I'm going to read The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek. Creek is a water word, so I think it counts. This is a 5-star prediction. I have heard nothing but good things about this, and it is inspired by the true blue-skinned people of Kentucky and the brave, dedicated Kentucky pack horse library service of the 30s. I am really, really excited to read this, and I definitely think it'll be a nice palate cleanser to some of the other books I have on my TBR. Wild 1, Draw 2 is a yellow 6. And the prompt for yellow 6 is thriller/mystery. So for this, I'm going to choose another cozy mystery, and I'm going to read Booked for Trouble by Eva Gates. This is the second house in the Lighthouse Library Mystery series. And in this, we follow a librarian named Lucy who works for a library that is inside a lighthouse. And in this one, her mother drops by and ends up picking a very public fight at a local hotel with her former classmate, Karen. So when Karen turns up dead outside the library, Susan is immediately at the top of the suspect list. So it looks like she's going to have to clear her mom's name and prove that her mom didn't commit the murder. I really, really enjoyed the first one, and I'm excited to be reading the second one. And for what is hopefully my final draw, Wild Draw number 3 is a blue 8. Well, that prompt didn't stay up on the board long at all, did it? Let's see, and the prompt for blue 8 is air on the cover or in the title. So for this, I'm going to go with Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. This is one of my winter covers, so I'm going into it blind, so I can't tell you anything about it, but this looks like a sky to me, so I'm going to say that's air, sky. I think that's probably going to be as close as I get to air. It feels like a good shout, so we're going to go with it, and yeah, that is the last book on my Phase 10 TBR, which just leaves me with my TBR knockout of book with only words on the cover, and it has to be a book I own, because the idea is to read books that you own. So, I'm going to pop a picture in here of the book that I chose that has only words on the title, and yeah. So, all in all, I think not a bad month. I mean, I'm hoping Bookopoly went well. But yeah, I think this is going to be quite the interesting TBR. So that's some of my TBR, along with a handful of ebooks or audiobooks. I'm pretty happy with the look of things. I got a lot of my obligation reads on there, whether it's 5-star predictions, winter covers, read-along books, etc. So, yeah, and it seems like quite the eclectic mix too, so hopefully I won't get too burnt out with any one genre. So, yeah, seems like it's going to be a fun start to 2023. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me baked emojis, like baked goods, or things you would find at a bakery in honor of Meet Your Baker. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!